In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 tips for finding an architecture internship. When I first started architecture school, the idea of finding an internship was as foreign as reading a section. It took me some time. Now, reading sections is like breakfast with tea. Hi, my name is Henry, and on this channel, I share design tips, career lessons, and drawing tutorials to help you navigate through a design career. Luckily, through a combination of good luck and persistence, I was able to find 5 internships in 3 different countries during my 7 years of architecture school. And interestingly, all of them occur after my undergraduate degree. So let's get into it. Tip number 1 is mass emailing. At the end of my first year in school, I had 0 leads and no idea where to start. So I looked on Google and found as many architecture companies in Toronto, both big and small. There must have been like 100. Then I crafted this generic email starting with who may concern and copy and pasted the content from one email to the next. I thought my chances were pretty good, with at least a few that might respond, but shockingly, no one got back to me. So if you can't tell, I don't recommend this spamming method anymore, but I do have a better solution. A better approach might be to focus your effort on only a handful of firms that you actually are interested to work for. I know it's a little more risky, but you're aiming for quality over quantity. So do some research on the firm first, then customize a personal email with specifics. Maybe it's one of their project that you resonated with, and if that's the case, make sure you mention it. The point is to make it sound more personal and invested, but not overly creepy. Even if you didn't know anyone there, you'll have a much easier time in getting a response if it doesn't sound so generic. Tip number 2 is to look on your local architectural association's website. In the US, we have this thing called AIA, which stands for American Institute of Architects, and they have chapters in major cities like New York, San Francisco, Seattle, and etc. Frequently, firms will publish job listings here, post the requirements and what they're looking for. I noticed these kind of positions are not usually that glamorous, and they're usually from smaller practices, sole practitioners, or corporate firms. Just think about it, design-driven firms with a big ego don't feel like they need to post on here, as they probably have a healthy dose of job inquiries through their own system. That's probably why they have an email address for career@something, because they probably get so many applications on a consistent basis. Tip number 3 is through your classmates, and you're like, what? Often we see our classmates as competition and feel this need to hide our research or insights, so you're not competing for the same spot. Yes, and sometimes that is true, but maybe one of your classmates is super talented and gets multiple offers from different firms, and they can only accept one. And if they like you enough and know you are also interested, they could totally introduce these opportunities to you. This is actually how I got my first internship. I had a classmate who originally accepted an offer, but a better one came along for her. So I guess in some way, she pawned off her first choice to me, and I was like, thank you. Then I went to Amsterdam for a 1-year internship. So if you kept everything a secret, then no one is going to help you because they don't even know you needed help in the first place. So consider a non-competitive attitude with your peers. Chat them up and see how their job search is going, and they might know something that you don't, and vice versa. Tip number 4 is LinkedIn, which also have a job posting section, but that's not what I'm talking about. On LinkedIn, there are these people called recruiters, and their job is to look for talents on behalf of companies that are looking to hire, but might not have like a robust recruiting department. I still have no idea how they got my number, but I've been called many times on my personal cell asking whether I'm interested to jump ship. I assume they stumbled on my profile on LinkedIn, but I'm still not sure how they got my number. These recruiters are highly incentivized because they get paid on the commission like we're some sort of meat. They're kind of like real estate agents for people. They generally have a list of firms and positions on hand that fits your experience level. So if they found the right candidate and they get hired, their commission is generally a percentage of their salary, which could be a good chunk. I've even been taken out to a nice restaurant one time by a recruiter, and all they were looking for was an entry-level designer. I didn't take up on the offer, but I was just interested to see what was the process like and get a free lunch out of it, because living in San Francisco is very expensive. So keep your resume and experience up to date and polished. You never know when someone might contact you via LinkedIn, recruiter, or not. Tip number 5 is in-person visit. When I had a semester in New York, I printed a handful of high quality portfolios and I just walked into different offices like I worked there, hoping to bump into a principal or someone important. But most of the time, I couldn't make it past to the lobby, so I just asked the receptionist whether they can pass on my materials forward. As a funny and embarrassing story, I went to Peter Eisenman's office in New York. I knew he was a star architect and I thought it would be so cool if I had experience like that on my resume. I remember exactly the moment when the elevator that opened to his floor opened and standing in front of me was the legend himself. I think he was on his way to lunch, but I kind of froze like a deer in the headlight, and somehow I was able to muster a few words out of my mouth and introduce myself. I dropped off my portfolio and I quickly left. I remember he had this not so impressed look on his face. So long story short, no calls from Pete. I don't think many people are taking this route and might not be encouraged by companies to submit this way, but somehow my portfolio made its way through a company called Cook Fox in New York, and I was hired as an intern and offered a job after I graduated. This approach is definitely out of the norm, but I feel like most firms are looking at someone's portfolio first on a website. So if you had a nice physical copy, I think that will stand out. And it might be sitting on someone's desk if they feel like it's too nice to throw out. I actually got mine back after the interview. Tip number 6 is to look through a company's website. Many of them have immediate openings listed on the career section, so keep an eye out periodically if you are eyeing to work for a particular firm. I've actually noticed that many firms have a year-round posting, even though when they're not looking to fill that position. I think what they're looking to do is to encourage people to send in their resumes so they have a revolving door of good candidates, and when they do need to fill a spot, they have many candidates to notify first. Tip number 7 is to do informational interviews. I feel like when you're a student in school, you have so much more privilege and access because I feel like people are more inclined to help student out than a postgrad. Does anyone know why? During your school years, people wouldn't mind connecting you to others, so take advantage and ask friends, classmates, ex-colleagues, and mentors to see if they know someone in the industry that they can connect you to an informational interview. And if you don't know what an informational interview is, it's an informal conversation that you can have with someone working in the industry or what it's like to work for a company. You're not exactly asking for a job yet, but maybe getting to know what a possible job might look like. And if you maintain this relationship and when it's actual time to find a job, you can reach out to this person and see if they can help you pass on your materials or send it to others that they know are hiring. If you maintain this relationship and when it's actual time to find a job, you can reach out to this person and ask if they can help you pass on your materials or send it to others that they know are hiring. I feel like this has worked incredibly well for me, so take the time to build some of these relationships early on because it's not going to happen overnight. Last tip number 8 is through a referral. This is kind of similar to an informational interview, but you're skipping building the relationship part first and going straight to asking for a job by going through your network. Your chances are much higher if you were referred by someone else because it implies that this person has already vouched for your competency as a designer and as a person. Personally, I don't want to refer someone that reflects badly on me, but if you know someone that will speak highly of you, you should try that person first. This is going to help you build some rapport even before you step in for an actual interview. In general, people are much more likely to consider someone that they know and trust. Yeah, this person is fantastic. You should totally hire her. I think architecture is such a small world sometimes, so don't burn your bridges. Even your past employers can become great referrals for your future employment. And in my own experience, because my previous boss spoke highly of my work when he recommended me to somewhere else, it landed me 2 more internships. So here we go. These tips are what worked for me. Comment below and let me know if you have any tricks up your sleeve. And by the way, if you like this video, by all means give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified when I have a new video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.